Yo, yo, yo. We is back. What it do? Make sure you can hear this shit this time. Because for some reason, every time I do a live, this goofy ass app, nigga can't hear me.
Multiple social media posts about this drive for this shooting. Social media posts. Mr. Demmons responds very succinctly. I did respond very succinctly.
Alright, we ready to get busy now, man. Finally got this shit right. Alright, so look, right? Let me share this on social media platforms. And we ready to talk about this case, man. So, Law and Crime Network put this together. This is not my top 6 moments. This is theirs. So we're going to discuss them. I think they do a breakdown of it. Shit, we're going to see who break down the best. You know what I mean? But we also going to go into the prosecution. We're going to hear from the prosecution. We're going to break down their opening arguments. Then we're going to break down the defense opening arguments. But I wanted to do these top 6 first before we do all that. You know what I mean? So let me share this. Let me share this real quick. So you want to rock with me on it. If not, niggas can catch it on the replay. I know how we do. Y'all know how we do. Hold up. Make sure it's on Facebook. It's not on Facebook. Whatever. It's on Twitter though. Make sure we on Twitter with it. Share this on Twitter. It's 10 people watching. Y'all don't go nowhere. We ready to rock out. I can't see y'all comments on Twitter either. But let me get some more people on here. Get some more people on here. So we got, like I told y'all, if y'all late, we're gonna talk about Law and Crime Network. They did a top 6 moments. Then we're gonna go into the prosecution. We're gonna hear their opening arguments, and we also gonna hear the defense opening arguments, and we're gonna break it down straight up. We're gonna get into it. Cause I don't like how they doing. I don't think he deserved to be facing the death penalty. Like, they treating this man like it's the worst of the worst. Like, people don't die every day. Not saying what he did was right, but come on, death penalty? Death penalty. They trying to kill this boy. And from everything I understand, from a last court case that they had, the reason why all this took place is because SACKCHASER supposed to sent Melly girlfriend a picture of his Johnson. You know what I mean? Which is a violation. Straight up. I ain't gonna lie, that's a violation. He probably shouldn't have killed him over it if he did, allegedly. But you can see how that can make a motherfucker upset, man. I ain't gonna lie. Especially to your man that cross you like that? Nah, hell no. Ain't nothing cool about that. But we ready to rock though.
More than 4 years after 2 young rappers are shot to death, one of their best friends, Ynw Melly, goes on trial, accused of murdering them.
Why'd you commit such a heinous crime against his own 2 best friends?
attorneys say he's the victim of a sloppy police investigation. We look at the top 6 moments from day 1 of Ynw Melly's trial.
That boy's still a kid.
Welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. Jamel Demons' double trial is officially underway in Broward County, Florida. Demons is known to the hip-hop community as
Give me something to drink real quick.
Melly faces 2 counts deaths of his friends, Christopher Thomas, JUVY, and Anthony Williams. He went by Ynw SACKCHASER. Melly, JUVY, SACKCHASER, and a 4th Ynw member, Portland Henry, also known as Ynw Portland, left a late-night recording session on October 26, 2018. They were in an SUV driven by Portland when JUVY and SACKCHASER were shot. Henry showed up at a hospital in Miramar, Florida, and claimed they were the victims of a drive-by shooting. But prosecutors say that's all a lie. Months later, Melly and Portland were charged with their murders. Prosecutors say Melly was in the back seat. Meanwhile, Melly says he's innocent. He faces the possibility of the death penalty if convicted, and he could get the death penalty more easily than past convicted defendants because of a recent law change which allows a jury to impose the death penalty by a vote of 8-4. Joining me to look at the top 6 moments from day 1 of Ynw Melly's trial is Mina Lona. She is a SiriusXM personality and a host at 100.3 in Philadelphia. That's an R&B station. Mina, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you for having me once again.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you back and interested to see what you think of what's going on.
I don't care what she think.
For just $1 down, you can get a brand new computer or tablet.
And so far in day 1, let's take a look and get right to it with opening statements from Assistant State Attorney Christine Bradley, who talks about what she...
Yo, if y'all want comments, and I can answer the comments, come to YouTube, Keep It G News.
This defendant
On Twitter.
shot and killed 2 of his friends. And Anthony Williams. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to set out the story and how this unfolded and lay out what I expect the evidence will show during the course of this trial. First thing we're going to hear is that at 4:35 a.m. on October 26th of 2018, Portland Henry, the co-defendant, shows up at Memorial Miramar Hospital. In his car, he has 2 dead bodies. In the front passenger seat is Anthony Williams. In the rear passenger seat is Christopher Thomas. They are dead, they are riddled with bullets, and the car is full of blood. Christopher Thomas is sitting in the rear. There is multiple defects to his body. Anthony Williams, who is sitting in the front, has 2 major injuries. Officer Jessica Amangor is working a detail at the hospital. Portland Henry runs in, starts telling a story about a drive-by. Quote-unquote drive-by.
All right, Mina, so the state says this whole thing about a drive-by, that it was staged, it was all fake. Your thoughts on how the state attorney there started off her case?
I honestly, after hearing her full remarks, I have more questions than answers.
Yeah, she ain't
I
even
thought
say
her
nothing.
opening statement was going to give more clarity as to what happened and why they believe this was a, not a drive-by and a shooting.
So in opening statements, you basically supposed to paint a picture to the jury. You're basically giving a description of what your case is supposed to be about. You know, the case you're gonna present to them. So she ain't feeling the opening because I guess that's all she said. She ain't really paint no clear picture of the direction that she's gonna take this case. And if that's all she said, I agree with this lady right here.
That happened within the car, but I didn't get many answers from what she said. They mentioned that they were using cell phone data to place all the 2 defendants and then the 2 people who have passed away in the same car at certain times. They mentioned traffic cams. They mentioned forensic evidence was found in the car.
Well, they ain't mentioned none of that just now.
In the car, mentioned gang affiliations. They mentioned a whole bunch of things that didn't answer the question. What happened here? What happened Where is the evidence tying it to Melly? And did Melly commit this murder? And where is that evidence that points to him?
And we heard only a little bit about that. One thing that they pointed to, Mina, that I thought was interesting was this social media message. Social media has become a huge part of criminal prosecutions. Everything you say and do is logged on social media or on your phone. And prosecutors say they have a very incriminating Instagram message from Melly on the morning of the murder.
She ain't say none of that right there.
So let's take a listen.
All right.
You'll see on October 26th, after about 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time, multiple messages are coming in. Messages are coming in from individuals checking to see if he's okay, if he's been injured in this drive-by. It is true that Ynw Williams, who's also sometimes referred to as Sack, and Chris Thomas, who is referred to as JUVY, are really dead. One individual specifically sends out, and I want to quote the message exactly that you will hear. It says, right after this, yo homie, you good? Let me know something. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is where context matters.
Yo, come on now. Come on now. She trying to paint a picture just off of that. Just off of that. He could have been talking about any. The defense would tear that. If I was the defense attorney, I would tear that argument in shreds. He could have been talking about anything. Like, come on, shorty, you gotta come better than that, man. You talking about death penalty.
If you work at Google and you say, my whole floor is coding, that's a good thing. If you work at Broward General Hospital and you say, my whole floor is coding, that is a bad thing. The context around the messages matters. So in the context of this message, this individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demmons is good, after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about this this shooting. And Mr. Demmons responds very succinctly, I did that. Shh.
So the state is basically
No,
saying that
man.
Melly confessed to this.
Yo, why, if Melly did that, yo, that got to be the dumbest shit in the fucking world. So basically, somebody texted him, yo, you good, after they heard the news that his man's got killed. And he texts back, I did that? If he really did that, he deserved to go to prison. Straight up. Not death penalty, though, but he deserved to go to prison if he did something that fucking stupid.
What are your thoughts about that message?
That was the one surprising thing that I think was probably the strongest point that she made. Up until that point, I felt like a lot of the evidence that she said that they had was circumstantial and would not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Melly created the murder. I think that one message is probably the strongest thing that they have, that is some sort of, according to the admission of guilt. I want more on that.
Yeah, for real.
This message too, how do we know they were talking about that? They have to prove that. And I think on the other end of it is that being the only piece of evidence that
Still a
they might
dumbass
have
message, though.
some sort of way it admits some guilt, but they have no gun, so there's not a gun that's been found. They have no video of them in this alleged alley that the prosecution is claiming, they drove through. There was no cameras. There's no evidence of tying Melly to this crime except for this one message. So if this is what they have to convince the jurors beyond a reasonable doubt that this very vague message is about the shooting and is in some way some admission of guilt. And in my perspective, I think it's not enough.
Well, Melly's defense attorney, David A. Howard, he doesn't think it's enough either. And he says his client is on trial because Miramar police conducted a sloppy investigation and basically decided he was guilty from the get-go. Take a listen.
3 years after arresting this young man.
There's a little trick to getting started in real estate, making $1,000, $2,000, or even $10,000 a day. It doesn't.
Sticking him in a cell. The state looks at its skates and says, oh man, this a little incompetent. Miramar police seems to botch this investigation, and they call the Broward Sheriff's Office and ask them to come and look at the investigation upon which this entire prosecution rests. He looks at it, and he says he instantly knew he had to start from scratch. I think his words were, "It was the worst thing I had seen in my life."
Patchwork.
This is the Broward Sheriff's Office.
They really gonna have to convince the jury.
Miramar.
They really gonna have to convince the jury that he had a substantial reason to do this. Straight up, like, why did he do this? Yeah, I mentioned what I mentioned in the beginning. But shit. Ain't no guarantee he killed the motherfucker over that. You know, even though it was disrespectful.
Police department. If we have problems with the Broward Sheriff's Office, we do as well, but you're going to hear about that during the course of this trial. Ladies and gentlemen, the murder of a body and the murder of these two young men is a tragedy. You're not here to solve a crime. That's their job. They have watched.
All right, Mina, this is something we commonly hear in these cases, that the police didn't dot all their I's and cross all of their T's, that they did a bad job. Your
More than
thoughts on
likely
what
they do.
they are arguing thus far?
I will say he raised doubt in my mind. Because up to this, we didn't know.
She
much
must be a
about
Melly
this trial,
fan.
And all we knew were that they believed that Melly committed the shooting because he was sitting at the rear of the car on the passenger side, and some of the angles from the forensic evidence pointed that it came from that angle, right? But until this point, I didn't know if there were any other people that potentially could have done this this murder. But this attorney actually placed a large amount of reasonable doubt into my mind. I'm going to read off some of my notes here, because in that opening statement, he mentioned a couple of people. First of all, he started to point at the.
I'm gonna go to the. I'm just gonna go to the. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to what I need to go to, because she talking about things that they ain't even showed yet. All right, this is the prosecution case right here. We're gonna start with this, cause she confusing me. I can't rock with her, cause she ahead of the fucking program.
Good morning, ladies. On October 26th of 2018, this defendant shot and killed two of his friends. He killed Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to set out the story and how this unfolded, and lay out what I expect the evidence will show during the course of this trial. First thing we're going to hear is that at 4:35 a.m. on October 26th of 2018, Cortland Henry, the co-defendant, shows up at Memorial Miramar Hospital. In his car, he has two dead bodies. In the front passenger seat is Anthony Williams. In the rear passenger seat is Christopher Thomas. They are dead, they are riddled with bullets, and the car is full of blood. Christopher Thomas is sitting in the rear.
You're gonna have to prove motive, man. That's the word I was looking for. Motive.
Anthony Williams, who is sitting in the front, has two.
Why did he do all of this?
Officer Jessica Amangor is working a detail at the hospital. Cortland Henry runs in, starts telling a story about a drive-by. Quote unquote drive-by. Cortland Henry, and you're going to learn a lot about Miramar geography during the course of this trial, tells a story that he and his buddies
See, but this is the thing I don't understand. If they really did this, why they ain't just leave them boys there? Why take them to the hospital? And then when they took them to the hospital, why not just drop them off and just keep it going? I mean, why run in there and tell her this elaborate story about how it was a shootout and you see what I'm saying? Like that was unnecessary. That was unnecessary, yo. And I don't understand if they did it. Why did they do it that way? It was so many other ways to handle that situation, and they wouldn't be put in this type of predicament.
And you're going to hear this statement. You're going to hear the actual audio of him telling law enforcement. We were at the recording studio. We drove home.
And that's another thing too, y'all. Whenever you in these type of questionings, because I've been in them a few times, man. You gotta limit what you tell them, if you tell them anything. By him mentioning that recording studio, it prompted the police to go to the recording studio and get that video. That's how they got that video of them walking to the car. If he would have never mentioned none of that, they wouldn't even had that video. You see what I'm saying? Like, niggas be talking too much. Talking too much, yo. Talk less. I mean, you don't want to implicate nobody else, especially not.
That they're getting off the highway on I-75.
You don't want to tell them to go nowhere you know got cameras.
And you're going to hear that on Miramar Parkway, sometime between 160th, which is also commonly referred to as Dykes Road, and 172nd, Portland Henry says they were shot at.
Fuck my lighter.
Duck down, and you'll see him doing that in the video. And that he didn't see any car, he didn't see any people, he has no information. And that he quickly went to the nearest hospital. So you're going to learn that when you go on Miramar Parkway and you take that right at 172, Memorial Miramar is just about 1 mile north. So the distance.
It's never been a better time to launch your printing business during Coma's
Man, when shots get to flying, shit, you do duck. It's a good chance you're not going to see the person shooting.
In Broward County is 1 mile. So you're going to learn that from 160th to 172nd, 1 mile. From 172nd to the next major intersection on Miramar Parkway, 184th, 1 mile. So you're going to hear and find that Mr. Henry's statement that the car is traveling westbound on Memorial Parkway and goes north on 172nd and shows up at the hospital for the drive-by is completely and utterly false. How can I tell you that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the detectives from Miramar at this point shut down the entire length of the Miramar Parkway from 160th to 172nd. And they sit and they walk side by side for an hour, that mile-long stretch, looking for evidence of this drive-by. Because evidence is the remnants a crime leaves behind. And in this case, the lack of evidence is very important.
Maybe it ain't happened there.
There is a lack of any evidence whatsoever to support that a drive-by happened on Miramar Parkway.
Nigga probably lied.
What would they look for? Shell casings.
But that's what I'm saying. Just because it didn't happen there, that don't mean they set it up. Nigga probably lied about what happened that shit. Niggas do that all the time. You know what I mean? Nigga ain't want to implicate. Some other things could have went on. So he lied about where the shooting took place. That's some shit I'd have did. Shit, I don't know, man. That shit happened wherever. You know what I mean?
Firearms. You're going to hear that there is none of that found whatsoever. So, then they say, well, maybe we have the time frame wrong. Maybe we have the location wrong. So they walk an additional line from 172 to 184. Still nothing. No broken glass, no projectiles,
Yeah, that is a little
Detectives
odd.
work backwards. They are then able to determine that 805 Northeast 4th address is a recording studio, and that the recording studio is equipped with cameras. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to
Did I
see
just say that?
footage from both
Did I just say that? Why would he tell them he was at a recording studio knowing that his camera's there? That was fucking stupid. That was their first mistake. If he was going to tell them anything, he should have made sure whatever address he gave them, it wasn't a camera in fucking sight. That way they couldn't retrace no steps.
outside of that recording studio. You're going to learn that on the morning of the 26th at approximately 1 p.m., detectives went out to the recording studio to try and see if somebody had followed the victims, to find out how they knew where they were going to be to set up this drive-by. In the video, that is the first time detectives learned that there was actually 4 people in that gray Jeep, and that the defendant, Jamel Devins, is in the rear driver's side seat. So let me set the scene for you at the recording studio, because there's actually 8 young men there. You're going to hear they arrived at the recording studio, not much was getting done. They were tired. They left at 3:19, and they got into 2 vehicles. So first vehicle is a red Mitsubishi SUV. In that red Mitsubishi SUV, 4 individuals get into it. Travion Glass, Dontavius Withers, Jacoby Mills, and Adrian Davis. They are in the red Mitsubishi. In the gray Jeep, you have the driver, Cortland Henry, rear driver's side passenger, Jamel Devins, Anthony Williams in the front seat, and Cortland Henry again, the driver, Christopher Thomas in the rear. What you will find and what you will hear, ladies and gentlemen, is that this gray Jeep leaves the recording studio, goes over to I-95, takes I-95 south to 595, 595 across to I-75 south, I-75 south to Miramar Parkway. You're going to see traffic cameras from the Department of Transportation that show the cars going across 595 one after the other. In those videos, you're not going to see them stop. And it's just a small portion of which is covered by cameras on that. But then what you're going to see is the cell phone evidence. The item that is carried around in everyone's pocket, in everyone's car, to use on a daily basis. Because you're going to see, as Jamel Devins leaves that recording studio, he's got his phone in his hand, and he's playing on his phone. You're going to see on that phone information that Anthony Williams had his phone with him. And the interesting fact that's important to keep in mind is Anthony Williams, the deceased in the front passenger seat, and Jamel Demons, who is the shooter, in the rear driver's side passenger seat, have the exact same make and model of cell phone. Not only do they have the same make and model of cell phone, they are on the exact same cell phone plan. They're using the same service, the same cell towers, everything like that. So you can compare.
If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or executive that could use a little more cash in your bank,
The information from those 2 cell phones and see how they track together. Christopher Thomas, who's deceased in the rear passenger seat, he had his iPhone as well, and he was on the Sprint service at the time. In the other car, that red Mitsubishi, Dontavius Withers also had a Sprint serving a cell phone. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have individuals in 2 cars and all of the cell phone tracks together. Going across 595.
Yeah, that cell phone track shit, man. Ain't no game.
At 184th, the red Mitsubishi goes south. And you will then see it at 3:50 a.m. going through the guard gate at Sunset Lakes. That was the gated community in which the individuals were all living at the time of this homicide in October of 2018. On the Sunset Lakes guard video, the red Mitsubishi goes through, the gray Jeep doesn't. The gray Jeep instead goes north and then proceeds to go to the actual scene of the homicides. The gray Jeep goes north on 184th up to Pines Boulevard. From Pines Boulevard, it travels west all the way to the edge of the Everglades, where it is desolate, where it is dark, where there are no witnesses. The gray Jeep goes down south on US 27 and turns left on Pembroke Road. You're going to learn that Pembroke Road does not connect through. That right there, Pembroke Road dead ends at a trash facility. That at that recycling facility, you're not going to see people. You're not going to see activity. There's no street lights. And at 4:02 a.m.,
Dang.
Jamel Devins exits that vehicle and stages side driving. Because, ladies and gentlemen, remember, at this time, Miramar's going and working backwards.
Hold up then. So when did the shooting take place? If these cars was all following each other, and the car that the other group of people was in went to the house and they kept going, y'all saying they staged the shooting at that spot? Is that what the shooting? Is that they must be alleging that's where the shooting was happened at? But she wasn't clear in explaining that.
To figure out how and why, how the location of this Jeep was known, why they would be targeted. At that point, there is no communication. You're not going to see any sort of phone calls, any sort of text messages going out, setting up any sort of at the edge of the Everglades at 4 in the morning. What you are going to find is that after the surveillance footage is brought up, some of these other individuals say, oh no, we stopped. We stopped the car and Mr. Demmons on the side of the highway got out of the gray Jeep and got into the red Mitsubishi. But ladies and gentlemen, it's important to know and look at the details.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because the details don't match up. One person says, oh, it's at this location. One person says it's over here on the side of the road.
See, yo, that's why, yo, you do not include all these people in your alibi. Like, yo, if he get found guilty, just based off of what she's saying, we're gonna get to the defense in a minute. But it was so many mistakes, man. For one, you don't direct police in your alibi to a location you know there's cameras. Then you don't involve other people. Don't involve other people, man, because motherfuckers can't get the story straight. Everybody's gonna say something different. Man, when them motherfuckers questioned me and they asked me who was at my house, I told them I don't know, I was asleep. So they say, well, you don't know who be at your house? No. Straight up. No. Because the minute I name a name, it just fucked everything up. Because they don't know what I said, so they're going to try to wing it. And 100 times out of 100, they going to say something totally separate than what I fucking said, man. So you never include other people in your alibi, man. Never. Unless it was pre-planned and y'all talked about it beforehand. Even then, it's risky.
Look at what the physical evidence shows, and that's what I would suggest to you as the most reliable things. So on the physical evidence, the Jeep is towed to the Miramar substation, and a search warrant is executed on it. And at that point, officers, crime scene technicians, and investigators start
You know though, but that type of evidence can be disputed because that's not that's not absolute. You know that type of evidence is up for debate. You know what I mean? Because there's no way they can say 100% with 100% certainty that that's where them bullets came from. They can go into the science of it and all of that, but most jurors don't even understand that language. You know what I mean? It just get confusing at that point. So yeah, I hear she's saying that, and they're gonna have a medical examiner testify to it, but that's not really that strong of evidence for real.
Same thing the medical examiner's office is going to tell you is that when the drive-by was staged at 4:02 a.m., the victims were already dead. The medical examiner will be able to testify and tell you that the fatal shots to Anthony Williams, to his head, that enters in the back of his head and exits at the top, blowing out the front passenger window, was fatal. And that the additional wounds that are consistent with the trajectories going through the vehicle, he's already dead. There is post-mortem inflicted gunshot wounds. The same for Christopher Thomas. You will hear from the medical examiner's office that Dr. McDougall and Dr. Sauter conducted the autopsies, that Christopher Thomas was shot in his left cheek. That was the fatal shot for him.
Damn.
You're also going to hear about stippling. Stippling is unburnt gunpowder that's ejected from the front of a firearm when a bullet is fired.
If it's stippling, now that's gonna be hard evidence to get around. Cause that mean the shots came from close range, almost like he had the gun to his face. And ain't no drive-by gonna produce no stippling. But I understand that. But the average juror, are they gonna understand that language? You know what I mean?
The best way to describe that and make it easy to understand, you have a handful of sand, soot, and a golf ball. You throw it. The golf ball is going to go the furthest because it has the most weight, the most mass. The sand weighs a little bit more than the soot, so it's going to go a little bit further, but not as far as the golf ball. The ash, the soot, which has almost no weight, no mass, therefore it can't have any energy put into it, falls very quickly. So that is the same principle that comes to gunshot residue and the powder test.
Look, if you don't like
It's
your
gonna be
job,
hard to get around that
9 to
stippling.
5 atmosphere, we all know real estate is a wonderful way to start.
The thing that you're going to hear about is stippling. The bullet travels the furthest. The gunshot residue, the powder tattooing, the stippling, creates a pattern. And from that pattern, the medical examiner's office can give an approximate distance.
Yeah, about 3 feet or something.
Why can they not give an exact one? Because their firearm in this case was never recovered. Law enforcement made diligent efforts to go and dive multiple canals, search multiple areas, apartments, storage units. They're never able to find the firearm. So without the actual firearm that was used in this case, you can't accurately and reliably recreate a distance determination. Common sense, ladies and gentlemen. The things that you learned in elementary school science about conducting science experiments, they apply just as much now as they did then. You have to minimize the number of variables. That's the only way to get an accurate experiment. So if you don't know the type of gun, you can't minimize the variables to get that distance determination. So what you're also going to hear is while law enforcement is going through that Jeep, they find one spent shell casing for a .40 caliber firearm. Why is that important? That shows a gun was fired inside of that car.
Mm.
You're going to hear that at once the location of US 27 and Pembroke Road was discovered, law enforcement goes out to that area as well. And there they locate an additional 8 shell casings.
God Dang.
.40 caliber. But the interesting thing about that is that doesn't happen on October 26th of 2018. This happens on November 21st.
Oh wow, oh shit. You could, hey, that's bullshit then. Lawyer, eat that up. If they can't match them bullets to the bodies of them two guys, then shit, that evidence is it's not even strong evidence. You talking about down there a whole month later. Lawyer, eat that up. That's not really strong.
Because that's when law enforcement gets the reliable cell phone tracking data that they use to determine that's the area that they need to be searching. Because at that location is where the cell phones of Christopher Thomas, Anthony Williams, and Jamel Demmons all line up at 4:02 a.m. At that point, afterwards, Mr. Demmons' phone tracks with the two victims until about 4:20.
Fuck the shoulder.
15 minutes before Portland Henry takes the victims to the hospital. During those 30 minutes, you're going to hear as to where the path went. You're going to hear that law enforcement then searched that path again looking for trace evidence, such as firearms. They didn't find it. But you're also going to hear that Jamel Demmons, on the side of the road, made a FaceTime video chat. At that point, he starts setting up the story. He FaceTimes his girlfriend at the time, Mariah Hamilton. Mariah Hamilton gets the phone call and screams, waking up her mother, Felicia Holmes. Felicia Holmes also sees the defendant, Jamel Demmons, on that FaceTime video call.
That's why they was trying to get the mother to testify and the daughter.
That's a data event on a cell phone. It's not a call for the purposes of the cell phone companies. It's using data, accessing the internet. Felicia Holmes and Mariah Hamilton see Jamel Demmons outside, and he is saying he's just been involved in a drive-by, and he thinks Anthony Williams and Chris Thomas are dead. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Demmons is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Gibbons. Frederick Gibbons is also involved in the music industry,
Fredo Bang.
and he asked to be picked up.
Fredo Bang declined to testify.
About 11 minutes later, they sent another drop pin where Mr. Demmons has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well,
God
though,
damn.
is these digital deletions,
Fucking time.
they have more than just phone calls, accessing the internet. They have health data. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find and hear and be able to see the videos of the recording studio and see Mr. Demmons taking steps. Lo and behold, look at the health activity data of a doctor. A step counter, that's what it is. 70 steps. Then you're going to see at 4:02 a.m. another 70 steps.
All this is circumstantial evidence, though, y'all. All this is circumstantial, and none of this exculpatory evidence. Nothing that she mentioned so far, other than the fucking that bullet in the car. It's the only thing I heard so far that's kind of strong. You know what I mean?
The time frame in which he's sending that drop in to 4:53 a.m.
I'm fucking tired, y'all. My bad, man. My brain moving slow right now. Fuck my shit.
You will see this data showing the defendant had the phone and was using it. So, ladies,
Do you ever wish that you could go back in time and just take one pick off of that last parlay that you made? I know it.
and gentlemen, one of the things that defendant committed a crime. And to do that, the state intends to show the evidence that the phone was there at the murder scene, and there were no other phones there. There is no one else out there at 4 in the morning. So to do that, the state has to convince each and every one of you that this was the phone of the defendant. You'll see in the messages and the contents of those messages him identifying himself. This is Melly, giving out that phone number to multiple people as being his phone number, 772-713-9807.
A million people probably call that number.
The state is going to show you the Instagram, the Facebook. Contrary to popular belief, Snapchat doesn't disappear. And detectives were able to write a search warrant and get contents of Snapchat.
I told y'all that in one of my last videos.
There are things that are there, and there are things that are not. And so, ladies and gentlemen, specifically,
WhatsApp, all that can be
defendant, during the course of the months of October of 2018 through December of 2018, gives out his phone number 15 times. Says, this is me,
Damn, man.
and all during the same time frame of October 26th of 2018, he's giving out that phone number. So one of the other elements that you heard about initially was that this was committed by a criminal gang member in furtherance of a criminal gang. So what you will learn from the evidence, from the Instagram, from the private messages,
Why I didn't hit her with a Rico then?
was that Jamel Demons is a member of the G Shine Blood set. This is not a staged personality. This is not an actor that's playing a character. This was his real life. Ladies and gentlemen, you will see that as soon as
I hate
October
prosecutors, man.
24th, 2 days before the homicide, Jamel Demons is learning the oath of loyalty to the G Shine Blood set. You're going to see things in these messages that will be indicative of blood membership. For example, anytime a word would normally be spelled with a C, as in Charlie, they don't use that.
Yeah, but why is this relevant to the case?
The letter B.
He ain't charging no gang Rico.
So instead of saying, I'm at the crib, they say, I'm at the grib. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because C is associated with cribs. D is for bloods. So if you look through all the messages, you will notice time and time again.
Trying to paint him out to be a bad guy. What she just mentioned about him being a member of the Bloods has zero relevance to anything she mentioned previously. You know what I mean? That let me know right there that their case is not that strong. Their case is based off of circumstantial evidence and character assassination. I guarantee y'all that's what the whole case is going to be about. Watch. Just based off her opening statements.
And using these. And you're going to see pictures, you're going to see videos of the defendant doing something called stacking, which is a way to show a gang affiliation and to broadcast it to the world. And this is not just in music videos. This is not just in lyrics. Because we're not going to get into that. That's artistic expression. That's not why we are here today. We are here because the defendant murdered 2 individuals. So in summary, the last thing I want to tell you that the evidence will show is that in the Instagram, because the defendant had a moderate social media following at the time of these events, people are reaching out to
This personal. That nigga had bigger than a moderate social media following.
You'll see on October 26th, after about 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time, multiple messages are coming in. Messages are coming in from individuals checking to see if he's okay, if he's been injured in this drive-by. If
Yeah, she is slow. I don't think they're gonna let him out. We gonna see, y'all. The case don't seem strong at all.
And
At
says,
all.
right after this, yo, homie, you good? Let me know something. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is where context matters. What does that mean? If you work at Google and you say, my whole floor is coding, that's a good thing. If you work at Broward General Hospital and you say, my whole floor is coding, that is a bad thing. The context around the messages matters. So in the context of this message, this individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demmons is good, after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about this this shooting. And Mr. Demmons responds very succinctly, I did that. Shh.
Yo, but that don't mean nothing.
Have the evidence? The state
He could have had it done. But y'all, their case is that Ynw Melly was the shooter. That's what I'm saying. Like, this case so far, what she talking about, it's not strong evidence. We right here from the defense. We ready to see what the defense said. Because that wasn't convincing at all. She was talking too slow and everything. When you present your case, so you gotta have a certain level of bravado with it. You know what I mean? You gotta take with it. She too slow, man. She gonna make the jurors go to sleep. Hope she got help for the state's case. That's the defense lawyer for Melly. Why I start off so blurry every time?
What they will bring you is a case that is riddled with reasonable doubt, that is founded on an incompetent and incomplete investigation, and the exercise of poor judgment at every turn.
See the swag? See, I got his arm up on the bench.
Cannot prove
You know what I
beyond
mean?
reasonable doubt.
You gotta have swag when you present your case, man. The jury, you know what I mean? The jury like that.
You recall Miss Bradley,
Holding his glasses in his hand.
some of you may recall, during the jury selection, going to great lengths to let you know that she does not have to prove motive. And she's right about that. The law doesn't require her to prove motive. But you know what does require motive? A young man to wake up one day and decide that he's going to kill two of his best friends.
I said that in the beginning, y'all. Motive is important. If they can't prove motive, they can't prove shit.
Lives with. Alongside his own. They have no reason for why he would do this. Because there is no reason. And if there's no reason, it doesn't make sense. And if after 4 years of investigation, the state comes in and says, hey, he killed two of his friends, his best friends, and you're wondering why, and their answer is, oh, I don't know. That's the first indication that they're just guessing and don't know what they're talking. And that, ladies and gentlemen, by itself is reasonable doubt. Why he would commit such a heinous crime against his own two best friends. For no reason.
You see, honing in on that best friends part.
into a car 40 plus minutes before bodies were found in that car.
That's a long time, y'all. 40 minutes, anything can happen.
When I owned 100 houses, then he discovered that Mr. Demons was a rising star. From that point on, he decided he's the only person that could have committed this crime. Because if you're involved in prosecuting a star, you become a star. This was his big break.
It's a fact.
Tunnel vision zeroed in on this person, this young man, as the only possible perpetrator of that crime, to the exclusion of all other leads and evidence. There's a difference between cases that are investigated and cases that are fabricated.
Damn. Okay.
When a case is investigated, the state uses all its resources, its investigators, its experts, and all its energy to identify leads and run them to ground. When a case is fabricated, first a target is chosen, and then the state uses all its resources, its investigators, its experts, and its energy to run that target into the ground. That's what occurred here, and there's a reason why I say that. There are a number of leads that you will discover.
Yo, if you're on Twitter, come to YouTube, y'all.
By the
Keep it
officer,
G News.
but were either completely ignored or given short shrift. I'm gonna
Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna break this bitch down tomorrow all day.
Start with the most obvious. Cortland Henry. Miss Bradley started her
DJ Academics can't do what I can do on this motherfucker. I done been in these
by
situations.
describing some of the lies that he told, as though to impute them to Mr. Demons. Those were not Mr. Demons' lies. Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital.
Yo,
Miramar.
are they being tried separately?
You don't see him sitting
Gotta
there.
find that out.
Where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two dead bodies.
Yeah, they got their case separate.
Riddled with bullets. When he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt.
Oh. Okay.
Gunpowder residue.
Defense. This is tricky. The defense is putting the case on what's his name? Portland. They must got a separate trial. And he got his own attorney. Situations, y'all. Damn, that's crazy. I ain't know that's what was going
Evidence that he had discharged the firearm. And he lies about where the incident occurred.
Melly ain't got nothing to do with this, y'all. This is the defense attorney. Can't put this on Melly.
And he lies about not having the phone.
The defense attorney job is to make sure his client go home. He ain't got nothing to do with the other guy.
There were 3 phones in that car. There were 3 people in that car. So they take him at his word, despite suspicious circumstances, and they let him go on his way. They soon discover that he's lying about the location of this incident.
Damn, yo, this dirty.
And they label him a victim. They said, we know you're scared. Tell us what happened.
I don't know if I agree with this, y'all,
Lies
but
to them again.
that's how this shit work.
And they know where he went. They know the location that he went. They know the house that he went to right after. And any investigator worth his salt DNA, any blood, a weapon maybe.
There they do
You
it.
guys are probably familiar with the series First 48. That's founded on the proposition that if you botch an investigation within the first 48 hours, you pretty much botched it for good. It's 48 months plus later. They still haven't served a search warrant on that location.
Damn.
Why?
Because they don't want him. They worry about
Already
Melly.
had his man.
Yeah.
What's the point of an investigation?
I'm fucking with the
Find
defense.
out what happened. He's using all his resources.
I like this case. I ain't gonna
trying to
lie.
prove what he has already concluded did happen. So, after Portland Henry,
Yo, this dirty.
lead number 2, a gentleman named Montrell Roll, and his sister, Nia Hewitt. Who were they? Well, another police department came into possession of jail calls between those two that occurred within 3 days after the murders, and discussed what they describe as intimate details of the murders. Intimate details means details that are not in the public domain.
So what he in the jury early. See, this is good work what he doing. I don't know what the fuck the prosecution was doing. But off the rip, opening arguments, he's already creating doubt to the jury. That's a good move. Bringing other people involved and all that. That is a good move. It's a little dirty to put it all on Melly Man, but shit. They got separate trials. They mad for themselves.
These two people are discussing the details of a murder. They go out and interview Miss Hewitt. They don't interview Mr. Roll.
Them niggas can still be cool.
And they ask her, well, how did you know all these intimate details? Oh, I heard it.
Oh
Something.
shit, he could be.
I
Might gotta take the fall.
Do you know you should create a podcast,
Might be the
but
fall
you're
guy.
not sure how to monetize it? A lot of people think you need feed.
Doesn't say when she heard it. Doesn't say who she heard it from. Case closed. They move on.
They ain't even investigate that.
That's lead number 2. That was ignored. Then there's Robert Colbert. Who is he? He is a gentleman that owns a social media account by the name of Backwards. This social media account, almost immediately, within days after these murders, posts this message. LOL. We killed 2 of your niggas. Oh, really? Took him 7 months to go and talk to Mr. Colbert,
Damn.
the owner of this account, that posts what amounts to
Oh yeah, Melly not guilty. He ready to beat this.
confession to involvement.
Unless the state pull a rabbit out the hat off this opening statements, Melly ready to beat this.
7 months. Why? Already had his guy. And when they go and talk to Mr. Colbert, what does he say? He said, oh, I created that account and I sold it for $20 to somebody else. Who'd you sell it to? Oh, I can't remember. Were you at the murder scene? No. Did you do it? No. Case closed. That's it. No more investigation. It would occur to a reasonable person, let alone a seasoned investigator acting in good faith. Why would somebody buy an Instagram account when you can create one for free on your own? If not to hide your identity. And if somebody goes to the trouble of to hide their identity and then confesses to a murder that you're investigating, you ought to go and figure out who that person is and talk to them. And maybe there is no such person. Maybe it was not sold. Why did somebody create an Instagram account and sell it for $20?
Well, you ain't even selling no account that ain't got no following.
And if he's in the business of doing that, that's of interest. And how would anybody know to go to him to buy an Instagram account? These are all unanswered questions. No investigation. Case closed. Let's move on. David Hedgepath. Who is he, you might wonder? He had a Twitter account called Crucial Almighty. He posts a confession to this murder. Something to the effect of, we coming at that G. Can't remember the quote. You're going to hear about it. And essentially it was a confession to involvement in the murders. It took them a year and a half to go and talk to him. They knew about it a year and a half earlier. Took them a year and a half to go and talk to him. Why do you do that?
They already had that man.
Already concluded
Yeah.
that you know who committed the crime. You're already determined.
I see why he's saying it was botched. Straight up. They was after Melly day one. If they investigate none of them other avenues, that's bullshit. I'm gonna be the first to say it. That's bullshit.
Who your defendant will be. And when they go to this young man and ask him, well, actually before, this is a year and a half before, they said, oh, we've determined that he was just trying to start an internet beef to advance his career. Who told him that? We're not talking to a soul. So it took him a year and a half to go down there and track him down. Track him down. They say, hey, did you commit the murder? No. Were you in the area? No. Where were you? Well, I could have been at work. At work where? Any one of 3 places. Okay, could you give me a work schedule? As though that would prove anything. He says, well, I can get it now. Oh, no, don't worry about it. Just email it to me.
Dang.
Really? And he doesn't even do that. There is no report that he even follows up and sends them an email of this mysterious work schedule proving that he wasn't at the location. They conclude, oh, he's not there, wasn't him, case closed. Is that how we do business?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
What if I told
That's not all. There are several other people who are potential suspects who were not tracked down. You are going to hear about them during the course of this trial. But beyond that, 3 years after arresting this young man and sticking him in a cell, the state looks at its case and says, oh man, this looks a little incompetent. Miramar police seems to have botched the investigation, and they call the Broward Sheriff's Office and ask them to come and look at the investigation upon which this entire prosecution rests. And he looks at it, and he says he instantly knew he had to start from scratch.
Dang.
I think his words were, it was the worst thing I had seen in my life. This is the Broward Sheriff's Office evaluating the work product of the Miramar Police Department. And we have problems with the Broward Sheriff's Office redo as well, but you're going to hear about that during the course of this trial. and gentlemen, the murder of anybody and the murder of these two young men was a tragedy. You're not here to solve a crime. That's their job. They haven't watched it.
Yo, you gotta clap it up, man. He doing this thing, man.
Society needs to have a prosecutorial arm prosecuting crimes and offenses. A noble pursuit. There's nothing wrong with that. And every country does it. In some countries, the prosecutor decides who the person is. They send a cop to go arrest him. They throw him in jail. That's the end of it. We don't do that in this country. What we do is we ask, are you sure about what you're talking about? That's the purpose of this proceeding. You're not here to judge. You're not here for a show.
The reason why he said that, because of what the state's attorney said. She is going to try to assassinate Melly's character by bringing up his gang affiliation. And he ain't buying it. The defense ain't buying it.
There are two grades, beyond a reasonable doubt and not guilty. A plus, everything else is an F. There's no A's, there's no A minuses. You are akin to an FDA lab.
I ain't no shit. What the fuck they just...
Imagine a company saying,
He couldn't say that?
we're going to put on the market fat-free milk. And the lab, their mission is to determine whether or not there is fat in the milk. And what do they look for? They don't look for milk. They look for fat. The state is telling you they have a state that is free of reasonable doubt. You're not here looking for proof. You're here looking for doubt. And if you're off looking for the wrong thing, you're going to miss. You are here to look for it.
Oh, she look like that actor lady. I can't remember her name though. She's playing a lot of movies from back in the day. Sister. Like the mother on Sister.